As a first-time sales manager, you're gonna have your hands full. Scaling the team, motivating them, getting visibility into what's working and what isn't, enforcing a culture of accountability, and getting sucked into tons of cross-functional meetings in the meantime. It's a 65-hour per week job. Crazy, but also rewarding if you do it right. I tried a ton of things on the fly, but one of the small things that made a big impact was Monday morning kickoffs. When I was promoted to management, we were scaling both the teams and our processes. Building out new processes is challenging enough, but needing feedback from new reps who don't know what good looks like yet, at times it took up to 4 weeks before I found out part of the process was broken, and that played a role in KPIs being down. Also, sadly, not everyone was applying feedback or putting in the work necessary to hit targets. I needed a way to create visibility and nurture accountability within the team. Monday morning kickoffs helped just enough. In this video, we'll cover how to structure these meetings and how long they should be, what format to use so it scales, and what I do differently after having talked to other sales leaders these past months. Let's look at the structure and duration. Firstly, I had to consider that not many people love Mondays, and sales reps especially dislike meetings that take away time from selling. I know because I'm one of them. Secondly, I needed a way to create a culture of accountability and drive urgency and focus so we act on what needs to get done without getting sidetracked. With that, my main goal was to keep these meetings short and sweet while also making it valuable by enabling the team to sell better by attending. By the end of the meeting, I wanted the team to have visibility into what needs to get done while feeling empowered and motivated to get going. These meetings had 5 parts. First up, we had a status update to see where we stand on attainment versus target, what movement we had in the pipeline in the past week, and then had a look at the outbound leaderboard so top performers got recognition and lower performers had nowhere to hide. Does this mean that we shamed low performers? Absolutely not. The goal was to create visibility and accountability, with top performers being proof that hitting KPIs was possible and what results they got in return. Next up, we looked at where we were forecasted to land and based on the gap define how many meetings needed to be booked for hitting quota. Because we were looking at a regional number in the millions, which can seem daunting, it was important to break down this number on an individual level so that reps could see the goal was possible. We considered factors like average deal size, win rates, and time to close to define the goal for that week for reps in each segment. These first 2 points went pretty quickly. The third point was cross-functional updates across the go-to-market team consisting of sales, growth, customer success, and product. Is this really important though? Well, I noticed that reps wanted to be enabled to sell, so they were trying to get this information on their own from different teams, and it was taking away precious time from selling. Not to mention that it was duplication of effort. We didn't have a dedicated enablement person at that time, so I took it upon myself to bring these insights to the team and allow them to focus entirely on generating pipeline. On top of this, I made sure to emphasize how each of these updates would impact pipeline, win rates, and deal velocity to leave out the guesswork. Once everyone was up to date, I wanted to gather feedback on what was working so reps could learn from best practices and also raise awareness around what wasn't working. This was crucial because tons of changes and developments were taking place internally, and at times they caused processes to break. You'd think that problems would get mentioned ASAP, huh? Initially, it took weeks for issues to surface, by which time the damage was already done, so to get ahead of that, I needed to know about friction points sooner and then prioritize them during the week. Tip for sales managers: don't be afraid to call on people individually to get momentum going. If you're working at a startup and the team doesn't mention any blockers, they're either not trying hard enough or it's just Monday and the coffee hasn't kicked in yet. By this time, the reps had a lot of info to digest, and some may even be feeling the pressure, so I needed to make sure the team was motivated to get going. For this reason, I ended these meetings on a positive note by giving kudos where credit was due. If someone closed the deal, showed grit and ownership, or made an impact in other ways, they got a shout out. Oh, and I started these meetings with a dad joke to lighten the mood, but either my jokes are terrible or the team could beat y'all at a poker face tournament any day. Please no comments. My goal was to keep these meetings under 30 minutes, but depending on the amount of updates internally and how much feedback the team had, it could run up to an hour. Most Mondays we managed to keep it under 45 minutes. If I had to do it all over again, I'd change some things that would bring the kickoff time down to 15 minutes. Stick around till the end to find out how. Now, I promise that this scales, but so far this seems like a ton of work, doesn't it? Hear me out. As a sales manager, I was packed with meetings. Weekly forecast goals, bi-weekly management syncs, weekly pipeline reviews, initially with each rep, later in segment groups, deal reviews, and the inputs needed for these overlapped a ton. So what I did was prepare my detailed review of the week in one sitting and then reuse parts of it for each of these meetings. This way I could cut down prep time by about half. To make this effortless, I recommend capturing any update right away that impacts pipeline, win rates, or time to close. I personally saved Slack updates with a single click and then reviewed my saved items once a week on Sundays when preparing for the Monday kickoff. Standard dashboards from the CRM helped with the rest. In addition to this, I made the notes searchable so we could learn from our mistakes and successes in retrospect. But what's the best way to do this? Most people would create a new document for every meeting they run, but unless you're using a tool like Roam Research or Obsidian, you will end up with siloed knowledge and waste a ton of time looking up information, or suffer down the line trying to justify why you made certain decisions when your efforts fell short. But this wasn't about me. First and foremost, I needed the team to find information in seconds, and to make that work, I decided to log all these notes on a single page. The talking points got captured in a simple table, each row representing a new week. The result? Anytime you needed a refresher, you could open this doc and find the info you're looking for in less than 5 seconds with a simple search. The last point was to have the team start using it, and to reduce friction, I bookmarked the page in the team Slack channel. But Victor, if this was working so well, why would you change anything? Well, that's the thing. These meetings were long at 45 minutes, give or take, and you could sense that the team was eager to get going instead of just sitting there. Recently, I talked to another sales leader who runs Friday recap meetings with his regional team. They cover what results they got, what practices were working, and where they were facing friction during the week. It's a 30-minute wind down at 4 p.m. before they log off for the weekend. And then it dawned on me. On Fridays, the events of the week are still top of mind. So am I proposing running Friday meetings instead of Monday kickoffs? No, you still need to create urgency and focus to get your team aligned after coming back from the weekend. What I change is running a 15-minute kickoff meeting on Monday and a 30-minute wind down on Fridays. On Mondays, I would still start with a dad joke because it's in my nature, but then I would update the team on where we stand in the quarter and what we need to do to hit. Share departmental updates so information still comes to them, and then give a shout out to the reps that made an impact last week. What changes is the feedback section moves to Friday afternoons, and instead of collecting the reps' forecasts asynchronously, I'd have them present their forecasts on the call. Maybe crack open a beer at the end to finish the week off on a positive note too. If you enjoyed this video, you'll love this next one right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe first, and then see you there.